Hi, my name is Tracie Sperling. I'm a local model, actress, and artist, and I'm here on the Keith Andrew show, and I'm very excited to have this opportunity.
Hi, I'm Susan Phelan, author of Misclassified and actress. I'm here on the Keith Andrews show, and I am so excited to speak with him today.
The whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. Never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are, who you're going to be. So prove to them, step out to something. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Andrew, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network. This is available on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're watching, you are obligated to leave a comment for me and our guests. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, what we can improve on. Here on the Keith Andrew Network, it's freedom of speech, self-expression, and improving them. Labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. Is approved them, stem out something. First question I'm going to start off with box number 1. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Susan Phelan. I live in the Mountain West, and I am both an actress and a writer.
Oh, that's wonderful. Have you ever thought about ghostwriting?
No, I haven't actually. No.
Well, I can always run the idea past you off the air, but just throwing it out there. Would you be interested in ghostwriting someone's book, hypothetically?
I would say that would be low on my priorities. I have about 30 books in my head that I need to get down, and yeah, I got to get those done first.
No, absolutely. And besides, I'm not going anywhere. And box 2, same question. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
So I was saying I'm an artist, model, and an actress.
No, perfect. So the first subject, we're going to continue with icebreakers. That's what we're on right now. Box 1, when you were in college, were you a study nerd or party animal? And what did you major in?
I was closer to a study nerd than a party animal, but I was more of an activity nerd, in the drama club and APO, like a service fraternity and things like that. And I majored in biology.
Oh, nice. What about you, Tracie? What did you major in, and were you a study nerd or party animal?
So in college, I was definitely a bookworm. I took my studies seriously, and I majored in liberal studies with concentrations in business administration and fashion design.
No, perfect. Now, the next question I want to ask you guys is about your acting careers. First one is, Tracie, we're going to start off with you. What attracted you to begin your acting career, and what has been some of your greatest achievements?
So before I started acting, I did modeling first. I was introduced to the idea of being in front of the camera. I did fashion shows for back to school for like J.C. Penney's, Macy's, and other retail stores. And I got comfortable, the whole presentation of being on stage. And that kind of like introduced me to acting as far as role playing, pretending to be a different character. And my very first movie was called Chase's Shadow, which was a horror sci-fi flick.
No, perfect. What about you, Susan?
I would say I first knew I was going to be an actress somehow when I was 12 years old. We were in gym class and people were saying, "What are you going to be?" And I said, "I'm going to be an actress." But besides community theater, it took many, many years before I actually started acting for film. And my biggest achievement with that would probably be the fact that I'm introverted and yet I've been brave enough to do this.
You know, it's funny you should mention when you were in gym class, you mentioned what you want to do. That reminds me of a scene in Pokemon. I think that's like in one of the later seasons. But it's always interesting how the villains, like, oh, I hate this person. They're supposed to be the bad guy, but yet when you listen to their backstories, they're relatable. So
Mhm.
there's this character named Jesse from Team Rocket. So she gets picked up. It's like, oh, well, Jesse, who do you want to be when you grow up? And she starts counting on her fingers, like, oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a trainer. I want to do this. And I was like, well, she's really cute.
Busy girl.
Absolutely. So the next one I want to ask you, Susan, what are you working on right now? And what is your biggest failure? And how did you learn from it?
Uh, okay, I'm going to do the biggest failure first. Um, it took me 20 plus years to get my first book published. And I would say the reason it was a failure and what I learned, the reason it was a failure was number one, I didn't want to be mean to my protagonist. So it took me a really long time to actually be mean because you have to put them in situations where the reader is worried for them, where the reader cares what's going to happen to them and what decisions they'll make. So that was the first part of it. And the second part was imposter syndrome. I spent a lot of time thinking, oh, who am I to think I'm a writer? Why am I doing this? I should be washing dishes. It really took, so those are the two things I learned is yes, I am a writer. I am a storyteller and I don't need to do the dishes right now. Let me get some words on the page first. And two, I'm meaner to my protagonist. The second part, what I'm working on right now is a historical middle grade novel that takes place in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, right after the battle, based on a true family that lived there and what they went through.
Absolutely. What about you, Tracy? What are you working on right now? And what is your biggest failure? And what did you learn from it?
So I'm currently working on my business called COB Abstract Art. So I sell original acrylic paintings on canvas and incorporate my art as actual fabric designs for clothing and matching accessories. And I actually have an art exhibition coming up this spring later in April. It'd be my first time going international in Istanbul.
No, congrats. Let me ask you something. We're throwing this a bonus question at you. Are you a wrestling fan?
Are you
Um,
asking?
Oh, this is for both of you, but I want to ask Tracy first.
I'm into sports in general. I like basketball, and boxing. So I don't mind like watching a good fight and seeing the action and like everything involved in it. Like I don't mind blood and violence in general.
Well, no, the reason I asked is because if I didn't know your name was Tracy, I have an acquaintance named Kansas Michelle, former WWE wrestler, but she's a Hall of Famer. You sound exactly, I swear to God, you sound exactly like her. If I didn't know your name was Tracy, I would be under the impression I was talking to Kansas again. You sound exactly like her.
What a small world. I guess we have a similar voice or like similar way of expressing ourselves.
What about you, Susan? Do you like professional wrestling?
I'm not into professional wrestling, but I'll be happy to play a character in a professional wrestling movie.
But that brings up our next subject because this subject right now is actually brought to you by WrestleMania 12, best known as Bret the Hitman Hart versus Shawn Michaels in a 1 hour Iron Man match. I thought it was freaking brutal. I got up and said, I come back in a half hour. I'm not gonna sit here and watch, a 1 hour match. Yeah, but at the same time, I probably was playing with my wrestling toys. But it's hard to because when you're younger, you play with your toys, you watch TV. You play with your toys, you watch TV. now their shows are 3 hours, and I'm like, okay, watch parts what I want. Is there a fast forward button or something?
Mm.
But it's hard. But also WrestleMania 12 was Rowdy Piper versus Goldust. That was a good match. Even though they are known for showing clips of the OJ Simpson chase, I thought that was really funny. But let me ask you this, Susan. In 1996, what were you doing in March of 1996?
March of 96. Raising kids.
Do you remember any good things from the year 1996?
Um, oh, we moved to the Mountain West from Georgia. Yeah, that's what I was doing in 96. So March, I was packing.
What about you, Tracy?
I was a youngster. I was just a small child growing up in 1996. I don't remember like anything important or as far as like personal related. Um, I probably would have been about at least 4 years old. So there was one traumatic experience that I had open heart surgery.
You mentioned you were 32, and I am 36. So there's always like 32, 3, 4, 5, 4 year difference. I was born in 88.
Oh, nice.
For me, what I remember in 1996 was we got it's either 95 or 96. We got a big snowstorm. That's where I think we got like 2 feet of snow, maybe 3 feet of snow. It was really bad. Yes, it was the blizzard of 96. Um, let's see, what else in 96? A professional wrestling. It's when the face of professional wrestling changed forever. Susan, do you like Hulk Hogan?
Oh, I think he's cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know many professional wrestling names, but I do know Hulk Hogan.
What about you, Tracy?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. I personally think he's a beast. He's definitely a strong fighter and very muscle bound.
Oh, steroids will do that to you. Rubber. 1996. I think that, yes, that was June going into the summer of 96. Hulk Hogan, the ultimate good guy for the past 20 years. Take your vitamins, say your prayers. Vince McMahon, that's a different subject, really dropped the ball on this because in WCW, they had the Monday Night War, WCW versus WWF. Are you a WCW person or do you like the World Wrestling Federation? So they had a storyline. Two wrestlers pretend to be invading the other company. So at Bash to the Beach, they had a mystery partner. That mystery partner was Hulk Hogan, and no one knew whose side he was going to be on. And they talked earlier because Plan A was Hulk Hogan. Plan B was Sting, because Sting was the face of WCW. I don't think it would have gone over well, but maybe. So Hulk Hogan came out. They said he's not here yet, so they didn't know he was going to pull his creative control card, but he likes pulling out of his ass because he likes to be in control. But the character Hulk Hogan, I like. The person, I haven't met him, so I'm not going to say anything. But when Hulk Hogan came out and turned heel, the whole professional wrestling landscape changed forever. You had people throwing garbage at Hogan, cursing, swearing, and saying, I'm going to boycott professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan killed wrestling. Because of Hulk Hogan turning heel, he turned the whole organization, not just WCW, but the WWF upside down. It was really amazing.
Oh my goodness. I think whoever comes up with all the plot lines and characters they have and how they have them fight back and forth and have those kinds of things. It's kind of amazing. They've got to have plans way into the future of what they're going to do with these characters.
No, I agree with you 100%. Now, I'm not defending him in any shape or form, but if it wasn't for Vince McMahon, we wouldn't have World Wrestling Entertainment. He gave us Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Owen Hart, Bret Hart, The Undertaker, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena. So he did some good. However, he is a shitty human being.
Mm.
And not to go into the whole legal scandal to you guys, so we can talk about it after. But all famous people are really shitty people. And it's PG-13, so you have the right to express yourself. I'll give you an example. Walt Disney. Walt Disney was a Nazi sympathizer. But he gave us some great cartoons. Steve Jobs, he gave us Apple. Bill Gates, Microsoft. So all these billionaires, yes, they gave us great things, but they really have a crappy reputation. And Tracie, what do you think?
I kind of agree with that. It's kind of sad, like how today's world operates. Like the most successful people who have like had the greatest accomplishments, unfortunately, don't have the best personality. Like if you were to try to, do an icebreaker with them, introduce yourself, and be friendly, they're negative.
That's true. What about you, Susan?
Well, no one is perfect, but I think sometimes it takes some of those hardcore me things to get yourself up to the top. And not saying that's a good idea, but it's the way our world is made at this point in time.
I agree. Now, the next one I want to ask you, well, Tracie, we're going to start off with you. COVID-19. How has COVID-19 impacted your life and your career, and do you see things differently? Tracie, sorry.
There was one point in time where I actually came down with COVID-19 personally. I had symptoms of like the common cold or flu, so I didn't take it seriously at the time. And it was not until I was treated by a doctor that it was confirmed that I was tested positive for it. And it was pretty scary. It took me a long time to recover. And so now, when I'm out in public, I wear face masks, I use hand sanitizer, I try to keep my distance, and I take precautions.
What about you, Susan?
Well, I have a daughter in Australia, and during COVID-19, she was having a baby, and I tried to get down there. I thought I had all my paperwork lined up. I got my tickets. I flew to JFK. I was trying to get on to the next plane, and they said, "Oh, you're missing this other paper." So I was stuck at JFK trying to get that last piece of paper to get me there, and I never got it. So I didn't get to see my grandson be born.
Well, I bet you met him now.
I have met him now, yes, even though he's still in Australia, I have met him.
Thank God for technology, right? It's
Yes,
a bless.
indeed.
It's a blessing and a curse. Actually, that goes into our next subject, social media. Can social media make you or break you? With everything that you accomplish, Susan, has social media give you any opportunities in your career?
Oh, yeah, I do think it has. I think most of social media, you really don't feel the impact directly for it, but it gives you so many opportunities to meet people you would not have met, to connect with people that you can then work with on some level. It gives you a chance to express yourself and hopefully not stick your foot in your mouth too much.
Oh, I said I hate Trump. So, hey, freedom
Well,
is
I don't know if that's sticking your foot in your mouth or not. I think a lot of people agree with you on that one.
yeah, you're absolutely right. What about you, Tracy? How has social media impacted your acting career?
So I definitely rely on social media a lot for like network connections, meeting new people. I'm always like I try to highlight my accomplishments and like different current projects I'm working on. It's I think it's more of a positive impact because sometimes you don't realize like the connections you can make, and they always say it's not what you know, but who you know.
Mhm.
That's completely true. Now, the next one I want to ask you, it's the news. Well, I was going to say new subject, but I've been saying it for a while. There's two new subjects I want to throw out at the same time. First one is song of the day. What song did you guys listen to today? And Tracy, we're going to start off with you.
I mostly listen to like old 90s hip hop or pop music. So like the first song that I listened to today was Madonna Like a Virgin.
What about you, Susan?
I was listening to the Beatles in the car, and I remember singing along to Penny Lane.
Now, the next one I want to ask you is it's still on the music theme. What song would you say, or band for that matter, what song or band has impacted your life and has given you the motivation to do what you love? And Susan, we're going to start off with you.
Oh, well, the band that has impacted my life, probably the Monkees. I was so in love with them as a little girl, and I actually got to interview Mickey Dolenz at a Comic-Con type event. Um, and it influenced my life by just realizing I can meet and interview famous people and not think again that imposter syndrome. It kind of made me realize, what imposter syndrome?
You bring up a good point. I do want to hit on that. But when we after we hear from Tracy,
So I've seen a couple live performances. I've seen like Ed Sheeran, I've seen Cher, I've seen who else? Yeah, just a few to name them. I would say my favorite band is Linkin Park.
no, very well. If you like Linkin Park, there's this band called I don't remember the name. I think it's like Phone in Reverse. But Phone in Reverse did a song of Linkin Park. It's really good. If I find it, I send it to you.
Oh,
Uh,
that's cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
for me, I have seen Heart perform, Train, Maroon 5. Um, Train was really good. Maroon 5 wasn't bad. Chicago was really good. REO Speedwagon was really good. Sort of a tribute band for Styx. They were freaking terrible. Um, Meatloaf, it was raining, so that was, and he sounded really bad. But you got to see him at Jones Beach. Let's see, trying to think without hurting myself. There were so many other great bands. Oh, Taylor, we saw Tim McGraw and Faith Hill open an act before she was a big thing. Taylor Swift. I met Taylor Swift before she was a household name.
Wow.
So, but Susan, I want to ask you because you mentioned this a couple times. Imposter syndrome. Tell us about it.
Imposter syndrome is where you feel like whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you're an imposter. You're not as good as the other people doing it. You're never going to be as good. Why are you trying? You're wasting your time. All these other people know what they're doing, and you really have absolutely no idea.
Well, I kind of feel right now that you mention it. I kind of feel like I fall under that category. I never went to college. I read and learn at a fifth grade high school level. I fall under the spectrum of being retarded because if we're doing a multiple choice question, A, B, C, D, can you read it to me? Can you explain it to me? Because I read at a slower pace,
Uh-huh.
I fall under the spectrum of being retarded. But I've been doing this for this June 10th, will be officially 11 years of the Keith Andrew Network. I did 1,100, and thanks to you guys, 1,112 episodes. I have interviewed professional wrestlers, people all over the world, from the US, Canada, England, different states. But there's a lot of people that are like, okay, yeah, you're in a comfy area, you're in a comfy zone. But like my favorite wrestler, The Undertaker, either you gotta put up or shut up. So that imposter syndrome, I kind of relate to it. I put on a good face, I put on a good mask, but I think I broke this there because when people think of disabled people, and let me ask you, and this is breaking the grass steel on the last subject. Breaking the last breaking the glass ceiling. When you think of people with disabilities, you don't think of them doing a talk show. You think of them going, or making faces or whatever bizarre things. And I try to make people laugh, but I can get away with that because I'm disabled. In a nice way, in a joking way. It's not hateful. I didn't mean that in a negative way, but you look up in a dictionary, people with disabilities, that's what you assume. You don't assume someone with disabilities being a talk show host who's done over 1,000 episodes. So the question I want to ask you guys real fast, Tracie, I'm going to start off with you. Have you broke the status quo of breaking the glass ceiling?
Um, can you define like what that means?
Well, as a woman in the industry, women today say, women are eye candy. They can't be lead actors. They can't be in the main event or wrestling matches. With everything that you accomplished, do you feel that you shattered your limits?
Um, yeah, like understanding like how I first started out, because I grew up with a learning disability as well, and I was always told that you're not gonna accomplish much of anything. You have no talent. I had special ed teachers that would turn me down. My own father said, it's a waste of time and money. He kept crushing my dreams of modeling, of acting, of wanting to become an artist. And, at times I was very confused as to who I actually wanted to be. And I had a lot of self-doubt and having to face criticism. And it definitely did put a heavy damper on things where at times I just felt like I just wanted to quit and give up, but I kept pushing forward and trying to have a positive attitude. Like the idea is to try to prove people wrong. If they say you can't do something, prove them wrong.
Absolutely. Susan, what about you wrapping up on our show?
I don't think I've broken the societal glass ceiling, but I have broken my own glass ceiling. And I have I have type 1 diabetes, which some people consider a disability. I probably have ADHD. I brought home the paperwork, lost the paperwork, found the paperwork, filled out the paperwork, lost the paperwork, found the paperwork, lost it again. And 3 of my kids have been diagnosed with it. So I don't know if that's a disability, but it's a neurodiversity. And it's both of those things make things a little bit harder, but I've kept pushing. And to me, that's pushing beyond what you think you can do or what even your friends or family think you can do. To me, is breaking your own glass ceiling.
I agree too. I do have a couple questions for you guys off the air. Stay tuned for the sit down with Keith Andrew, available on TikTok and Instagram. If you're watching, you are obligated to leave a comment. Tell us what we should interview and talk about next time on the Keith Andrew Network. Our goal is to reach 500 views, make this episode go viral. But until then, it was a real honor and privilege having you both of you as a guest. I really appreciate it, and until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.